Hey guys! Oh my goodness, good morning. I am super pumped to be in here and talking to the Beachbody Champions page. It is quite an honor to have been invited to speak with you all today. I am Kristin Sharp and I am tuning in with you guys from the Beachbody Leadership here in Vegas. I am energized this morning. Yes, I've had my energize, but I just finished a workout with Autumn and it was awesome. So nothing energizes you like getting to be surrounded with other people in a room like that and feeding off of each other, and of course having our trainers right there in front of us. So that is the power in getting yourself to events. So I am here to talk with you guys. I'm sorry about the dinging on my computer, but I am excited to talk with you all today about the important topic of following up. This was something that I learned very early on in my coaching business that is super, super important. And one of the most important pieces in the invite process is the follow-up, because most people don't tend to say yes or jump right on to whatever you're offering with that initial first invite that you send or that first contact. I always say to my team that if I didn't follow up, I would not have a business. And probably if you think back on your own journey as a coach, or even before you were a coach and you were a challenger, most people, most of you probably can say that it took more than one time for you to be invited, or even maybe you watched your coach on social media for a while before you made any sort of commitment to joining. So I'm going to talk to you guys about how to take the awkwardness out of follow-up and give you some concrete examples that you can use when you're reaching back out to your contacts. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about myself and how I got started as a coach. Like I said, my name's Kristin, and I have been a coach now for about 7 years. I would say about 6.5 years that I have actually been very consistent in the business. I know most people tend to have that time when they signed up, and then it took a little bit of time for them to figure out what your vision was, what your goals are, and get your groove going in the business. And so I would say it took me about 6 months to really find my footing. I am a mom of 4 girls. They're 9, 7, 4, and 18 months. And I tell you that so you can know that I am super busy. And so I have gone through basically 3 pregnancies as a Beachbody coach. And it's been amazing because I've been able to use each of those transformations as a way to share my story. After each pregnancy, I've lost my baby weight, all with Beachbody programs. I'm a former teacher, and I was a high school counselor. So I didn't have a background in fitness per se. I enjoyed working out. I did start teaching a few classes when we were stationed overseas. I was teaching a body pump class, and I loved that. But never really had done an at-home workout program. And my coach, Kelly, she invited me to the coaching opportunity. She was talking about it. She had just gotten started and was excited about it. And I was like, well, that sounds great for her. You know, I didn't really think much of it or take her up on her offer to join the team. I think because I didn't really understand what it was. Let me see if I turn this dinging off. I thought I quit that application, and it is not quitting on me. Okay, we'll see if that stops it, but I can't promise that. All right, so back to what I was saying, I started watching her on social media and seeing what she was doing and the excitement that she was having and the results she was getting. Continued to watch. And I think she invited me again, and I still didn't really take her up on it. I was nervous. I was one of those people who was nervous to make the investment. I was nervous about spending the extra $16 a month. I had become a stay-at-home mom. Like I said, I was a teacher, but when we had my first baby, we went ahead and said, hey, I'm going to stay home. That's what we had always planned to do. And so I did that, and I loved it. But then when I got pregnant with my second baby, I started thinking about our future. Being a military spouse, living on that one military family income, things were tight. And I remember being up at night and stressing over, how are we going to do things like afford to put our kids in gymnastics and dance and pre-K programs. And I'm very close to my family, and the thought that we couldn't travel home to be able to go visit family so that my kids could grow up knowing who their cousins are and their grandparents, that was just pulling at my heart. And I was looking for some sort of way that I could earn a side income, and I didn't know exactly what that looked like. So insert Kelly again. She came back around and she followed up with me again, and she was like, hey, I'm starting up this P90X challenge group. By the way, this group was starting like 2 or 3 weeks after I was going to have my second baby. And she's like, I want you to do this. And by the way, sign up as a coach as well. It's free for military. And I was like, okay, you're crazy. Do P90X right after I have this baby? And she's like, you can do it. And she's just encouraged me. And I was like, you know what? We can't afford the gym. So I'm looking for some way to lose my baby weight. I'm looking for a way to earn a side income. So I joined, not knowing anything about what it meant to have an at-home business or what that looked like, and nothing about Beachbody. I actually joined with some P90X DVDs that my dad gave me. So I didn't even buy a program right from the get-go, but I did buy Shakeology. And within 3 months, I was hooked. I absolutely loved the process. I loved how the challenge group had me moving forward, even on days when I got little sleep at night and I had a newborn I was taking care of and a 2-year-old. And I just kept showing up, and I lost all my baby weight in 3 months. I was actually stronger than I'd ever been. And so I became a believer in what we were doing. And what went from, hey, if I could earn an extra $200 to $500 a month to help support our family, maybe I began to dream bigger. And I was like, maybe we could replace what I was making as a teacher. And I did that in about 2.5 years. And then it went to, maybe I could allow my husband to be able to get out of the military when he is ready to, so that we can settle our family back down in our home state of Texas. And about 2 weeks ago, my husband actually submitted his paperwork to the military saying he's getting out of active duty. So super exciting to see our vision just come to life over the last few years. So let's go into talking about following up and what that looks like. We've all been there. And I think sometimes coaches feel like they're the only ones that this happens to, but you send an invite and no response. Or you get through the entire invite process, they act very interested, they told you their goals, and they still go quiet on you. Maybe it's when you get to that price, right? And they disappear. And I think sometimes we think that we've done something wrong or we're bugging them, and that is just simply not true. Most of the time, either objections or the crickets come from a lack of understanding, or they're just not ready yet. And so as coaches, we have to remember that while we are super excited about what we're doing and we're passionate about it and it's on our mind all the time, it may not be on their mind all the time. People just forget and they get busy. So it's our job to plant that seed and then to make sure that we are doing the professional thing of following up. To me, I feel like it's not, you're not showing that you care about the person if you just send the invite and you never reach back out again. I think it's way better if you can send that invite and then let them know, hey, if it's not a good time, it's okay, I can check back later. That seems the more professional thing, and I want to keep that relationship growing and that trust building. And so then from that point, after you send your follow-ups, you need to stay consistent on social media, because that is where the trust is built. They're going to continue to watch you. So that is part of the invite process that most people are not going to say yes the first time. Okay, so what fuels you to have the courage to invite and have the courage to follow up? I truly believe that comes from having a vision for where you want your business to go and having that confidence and belief in what you're doing. So let's talk a little bit about that. I found this quote the other day. Success in life comes when you simply refuse to give up with goals so strong that obstacles and failures and loss only act as a source of motivation. You know, my vision as a coach for my own family to be able to be able to put my kids on the school bus every day and not have to go back to a full-time teaching job, to be able to retire my husband from the military so that we can homestead, and the vision to be able to take my children on vacations and back home to visit family. All of those things helped me drive past any fears that I had that was making me want to hold back. And another thing that my coach shared with me that just has always stuck with me is not to hold someone else's future captive in your mouth because of your own fears of rejection. You know, like I said, it's our job to plant that seed. It's our responsibility to share what we are doing because it can change someone's life. So why wouldn't you want to share that? And so you have to be confident in the invite process and in your follow-up, knowing that you have something that's a gift to offer to other people. You're giving them their hope back. And so I know sometimes we're not real confident in the beginning because we're just getting going even with our own journey. So that's why being a product of the product is so important, because that helps to fuel your belief in what you're doing. It helps to fuel your own confidence in what you're doing. And remember, inviting is a skill. The more that you do it, the better that you're going to get. The only way to get better at recruiting is to recruit. The only way to get better at inviting to your challenge groups is to invite more. It's just like our muscles. If we don't use them, then they're not going to get strengthened and you're going to lose that. So just continue to work on it and fail your way forward and you will get better at it. All right, so I'm going to give you some concrete tips on how to follow up. Number one, you have to have some sort of tracking system besides your messenger. That inbox is going to get crowded and you are going to lose people. And so you need some sort of tracking system. You have your list of people that you're talking to, and then a list of, and some sort of calendar reminder to make sure that you're reaching back out. Anytime I send an invite, I mark it on my calendar. I actually use a tracking system through TeamZ. It doesn't matter what you use, if it's paper, pencil, Excel spreadsheets, or a lot of coaches are using Google Streak, but some sort of system to remind me to check back in 2 to 3 days later. And so you need to figure out what that looks like for you, but I'm telling you, don't just use your messenger and think you can scroll back. You're going to forget about people. So follow-up should be a part of your Power Hour process. Tip number 2. Don't assume that people aren't interested in what you're doing. I think I hear this all the time. My new coaches especially, they're so afraid to follow up because they don't want to come across as pushing, and they're assuming that because they read the message that they're not really interested, and that's not true. I would say 99.9% of the time when I follow up with people, I find that they've just been busy and they apologize like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I'm just now getting back to you. Life's just been crazy. I meant to respond. And so I'll give you an example of what that looks like. Keep it simple. I'll say, hey girl, I know life gets busy. Looks like you had an amazing weekend with your family. I'll try to personalize it in some way according to what I see on their social media. I know if you're anything like me, you look at messages in the checkout line or at Target or the school pickup line, and then life gets busy. So I just wanted to see if you gave my message any thought. So I'm relating to them and letting them know, like, I totally get where you're at. Or it could be as simple as, hey girl, just wanted to see if you saw my message above and thought it over. Don't overthink this, okay? And to tie into that, make sure that every time that you send a message to someone and follow up, that you include some sort of question with it that's going to elicit a response from them. A good example is if I send somebody a couple of workout suggestions like T25 and 21-day fix for them to look over, then I might respond back with them, hey, did you have a chance to review those videos? Which one did you like the most, 21-day fix or T25? So that helps initiate them to respond with some sort of answer to my question so we can continue the invite process and keep it moving forward. Okay, so tip number 1 was track. Tip number 2 is never assume that they're not interested. Tip number 3, create some sort of urgency, especially in that second follow-up. So each of these follow-ups is about 2 to 3 days in between. And creating urgency, you can do this with like the takeaway method. So I'll say something like, hey girl, I just wanted to check back in with you real quick because I know we've been talking about getting started this month and helping you lose that extra 15 to 20 pounds before Christmas. I only have a couple of spots remaining in this month's group. No worries, I just didn't want to leave you out by mistake. Please let me know either way so I know if I should save you a spot or to check back in with you in a month or so. So with this, I'm telling them like, hey, there's only a few more spots left. Create some sort of urgency, and also asking them, hey, if it's better, I can check back in with you in a month or so. So that allows me to basically ask permission and for them to expect me to reach back out. Also, let them know when you're going to check back in. For example, if I send someone some coach information or links to some workout suggestions, I'll usually say, I'll check back in a couple of days. Will that give you enough time to look over the information, especially if I send a coach share opportunity video that's a little bit longer. But that sets that timeline for them to know when I'm going to come back around, and hopefully they'll watch it during that time frame. And then I'll say, I'll message you more tomorrow to see what questions you have. Will that give you enough time to look it over? I'm so excited for you to check it out. You're going to love it. Okay, tip number 4. In the third follow-up, I'm going to ask permission to reach out again, and I'm going to offer some sort of free value to them. So let's say you invite someone to your 30-day group, and you've already followed up a couple of times. And so we don't want to continue feeling like we're bugging them or pestering them. So I usually respond something with like offering them a free meal plan or to join in on one of my free groups. So I'll say something like, hey, it sounds like right now is a busy time for you. No worries either way. I didn't want you to be afraid or tell me no. I did want to let you know I'm running a free 5-day clean eating group next week. This is a great place to get your feet wet. Would you be interested in joining us? And usually they are up for doing that. Another thing you guys can do, and don't be afraid to ask this, especially when I am talking to someone and I know they want to do it, but I can sense that they're hesitant in some way, but I'm not sure exactly what's holding them back. Just ask. That helps to get it out in the open so that we can talk through it, that I can relate to what their worry is. And so I'll just simply ask them, I know you're super excited to do this. I'm sensing that you're a little bit hesitant. Can I ask what's holding you back from getting started? And usually that does get them to open up. They'll say, I was afraid to tell you I don't have the money right now, or I'm so nervous about failing. And this is an opportunity for you to give them some more free value. Maybe it's sharing a podcast that can help them on fear of failure. Maybe it is walking them through that fear of spending the money on themselves, and I can share where I was, and maybe you've heard of feel, felt, found. Share how, relate to how they feel. Share, that I felt that same way, but what I found was, and help them work through whatever that thing is that's holding them back. The other thing that you can do in your third follow-up, lead with your fear, because I know so many coaches, they're fearing that they're bugging people. And so lead with that and say, hey, I really hope I'm not bugging you. I just wanted to check back in and see if you saw my message the other day. If now's not a good time, I can always check back in a month if that's best for you. And I tell you, I always get a response, 99% of the time. If I lead with my fear and say, I hope I'm not bugging you, they always come back with, oh my gosh, girl, you are not bugging me. I've just been a crazy week. My kids are sick. So that is a really good example for you guys to be able to use. Okay, number 5. Be persistent, but not pesky, okay? And we do this by letting them know that we're going to check back in a couple of months or in a month or whatever time frame that you guys talk about. And we do that by adding that free value. And if I send the invite and I followed up a couple times, I'm still not getting any response from them, I do resort back to just love bombing on their page, meaning engaging on their post, liking and commenting on things, and taking a genuine interest in that person. And people are going to buy from people they know, like, and trust. And so that trust is built by you taking the time to get to know the person and what they love and what their passions are in life, and learning more about their family. And when the time's right, you can reach back out again. Or you may find that they come back to you because you've built that connection and trust with them, and they've been also watching your fitness journey on social media and you adding value and encouragement on social media. And so when the time is right, they're going to remember you because you've been the person that's continued to show up in their life. Social media is the glue that holds all of this together. My last point, number 6, be patient. You know, it may just not be the right time in somebody's life. You could say all the wrong things to somebody at the right time for them to get started, and they're going to start. And vice versa. You could say all the right things. You could follow up and do an amazing job on the invite process, but if it's just not the right time in their life, you're not going to get them to say yes. But again, be consistent on social media. Continue to encourage that person. Reach back out and continue to build that relationship with something not fitness related, and I guarantee you they're going to come back around. Most people need to be exposed at least 7 times before they're going to say yes, and that exposure comes from you inviting them and them continuing to watch you through your social media. Keep in mind, my coach had to ask me at least 3 times, and me continuing to watch her before I said yes. And had she never followed up with me and invited again, I don't know that I would be here today. It took someone reaching out, connecting with me, and saying, I believe in you. You can do this. Let's go. And so I'm here. Okay, to close this out for you guys today, remember, the more that you invite, the better you're going to get at it. The more you follow up, the better you're going to get at it. And the more your paycheck is going to grow as well. You can't get around the invite process. You can't get around following up. It is just a piece of it. It's a piece of the invite process. It's a piece of the business. And that consistency in what you do it and put yourself out there, and the more that you're talking to people, the better you're going to get. You're going to improve that skill. And learn to be okay with hearing crickets. Learn to be okay with objections, and just know that you get so confident in what you're doing that doesn't faze you, that doesn't make you stop. You keep going. You keep talking to more people, knowing that a no is not no forever. So with consistency and making sure you're following up, that no will become a yes later down the road. All right, guys, that's what I have for you. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I am happy to talk with you more. And with that, I'm going to head to our workshop for leadership today. Bye, guys. Have a great Friday.